Shalom, family. Welcome, brothers and sisters. I want to do a short video in regards to our indigenous history in the Americas. This is relative to our Hebrew history, and I'm just going to jump right in. I know it's been a while since I've been on this channel. So, this video actually ties to an article that I found on, it was an online newspaper called the I think, Charleston Gazette, and it was regarding Bunce Island. I was doing some research on Bunce Island, and the whole story about the transatlantic slave trade relative to Bunce Island. And it discussed the Ashley River Ferry Town in Charleston, South Carolina, and it covered some additional history that was really, really important to our indigenous history. And I actually bookmarked this article on this newspaper website, and because I was going to do a video on it. It was really important. And then all of a sudden, like a couple weeks later, I went back to do the video, and the article just mysteriously disappeared. And I know there was no coincidence behind that because of the information I uncovered. So that's why I really want to do this video. I think it's really important, and with any good reporter or journalist or even researcher for that matter, you never stop just when you find a lead that grows cold on you. You keep doing further research. And I did. And I actually ended up finding a book that covered the same history essentially that I found in that article of our people. So I'm just going to pull it up here. This is a book that I found. It's called The Papers of Henry Lawrence. And this book, I don't know when it was actually written, but it was published in 1988. And it's in regards to a lot of the history of the Cherokee Wars that took place during apparently in the so-called Cherokee Wars that happened in the 18th century. And I gotta tell you, brothers and sisters, the more I do all of this research, the more I discover more information that really is relative to our history, and a lot of this fabricated history that we've been given in their books, white folks, really has been, it's fiction. I mean, it really is much of this history, and we're going to cover that in another history video that I'm going to be working on. I'm actually in the process of working on that I know I promised you that I probably will have done in the next couple weeks. But at any rate, in this book, on this page, it discusses here preliminary negotiations with the Cherokees, and notice it talks about Shemtown and Ashley Ferry, and this is in Charleston, South Carolina. And the reason why this is really important to me really quick is because, I don't know if I ever mentioned this, is that my people's history, my family, our indigenous history is not only so-called Cherokee. We weren't really called Cherokees, but this is the modern term for our tribe. But more importantly, the history of my family does go all the way back to South Carolina. And my family, I mean, we have records, we have photographs, as well as an oral history that we pass down from generation to generation. And my family goes back thousands of years in those lands. So at any rate, it says here, on September the 3rd, 1761, Lieutenant Colonel Henry Lawrence and Captain William Moultrie set out from Kiowa to escort the Cherokee delegation to Charleston. The House and Council were meeting at Shemtown, Ashley Ferry, because of the fever raging in Charleston. So we're going to stop right there, and then there's another part of this that I'm just going to read really quickly here. That discusses Cherokee history in Charleston, and then this part here, let me just scroll down. It just talks real quick here. This was the site of Ashley Ferry Town, which was sometimes called Shemtown. Now, they would want you, and this is why I say a lot of this history has been fabricated that we get in their books, that they would rather have you believe, rather than the truth, of this, indigenous history that's really tied to the original branch of Cherokees, not the fake ones today that are, the $5 Indians that are part of the federally recognized tribes, but the original branch of Cherokees, which were our people, the indigenous people in our Hebrew history. But rather, they would like you to believe that Shemtown was named after some guy named Shem Butler that was granted some land that they built a ferry on, but it goes well beyond that. And it was, it's not what white people tell you, how it is. It's what they don't tell you. They lie by omission. and what they don't tell you is the truth. So, the reason why it was called Shemtown is because of people who were inhabiting the lands. So, further proof of that is the Bat Creek Stone. So, the Bat Creek Stone was a stone that was found, was writings, ancient writings that were found in Tennessee, and this is part of, southeastern part of the Americas, that was also known as Cherokee country. It's also known as Cherokee territory. So it says here, the Bat Creek Stone was professionally excavated in 1889 from an undisturbed burial mound in eastern Tennessee by the Smithsonian's Mound Survey Project. And it says the director of the project, Cyrus Thomas, initially declared that the curious inscription on the stone were beyond question letters of the Cherokee alphabet. Okay, and then it goes on to say, in the 1960s, Henrietta Mertz and Coria Yu both noticed that the inscription, when inverted from Thomas's orientation to that of the above paragraph, so in other words, they just turned it, they had it upside down, instead appeared to be ancient Shemitic. The late Shemitic languages scholar Cyrus Gordon, okay, this is back in the 1970s, confirmed that it is Shemitic, and specifically ancient Hebrew of approximately the 1st or 2nd century CE. According to him, the 5 letters to the left of the comma-shaped word divider read from right to left, El Yehuda, or for Judea, or Judea is how we would pronounce it. So we're going to stop right there. But essentially, it was probably a sign that we used as part of a border, that basically meant border for, Judea, in other words, Judah. So, but the point is that this is really important, because what is this telling you? Well, if they found obviously the ancient writings, Shemitic writings, in our land, in our lands, that obviously these people were, we were indigenous people. And Cherokee was just a misnomer, as many of the names of the indigenous tribes in the Americas, that we were Hebrew, Hebrews. And what's really important about this is also it's telling you that aside from that, it helps to identify that the Cherokees, the ancient Cherokees, my family, my people, were of the tribe of Yehuda, in other words, the tribe of Judah. Okay, and that's why they found that sign in the land, And here's where it gets really, really interesting. It goes further down here that you had some linguists that thought it was Welsh. The writing was in Welsh. Now, it's all relative. I'm not going to get into that today, but is that relative? It sure is. But we'll talk about that in the other video that I'm working on. We're going to go much deeper in that one. But this is all tied to the same thing, and it is all interrelated, brothers and sisters. So, I think that's what I really wanted to touch on in this particular video, was that. And then also, I had a sister who had written in, and I apologize, I did respond to your email the other day, but I wanted to go a little further. So I had a sister that had asked me, she sent me an email and had asked me the question, I guess my position on the topic of, or the subject of polygamy. And I did respond to your email, like I said, I believe it was yesterday, because and you have to forgive me, sister, I've been so behind on my emails playing catch up. But I wanted to kind of further elaborate on that, subject matter, and I thought it would be really good to cover that in also this video regarding polygamy, because I do know some of our brothers and sisters really have been trapped and caught up in some of these groups, these cults that are telling them that polygamy it's a good thing and it's something that our people were practicing in the ancient world and stuff, we should be doing this. And no, we should not. So to answer your question, sister, no, my position on polygamy is just that. Polygamy was not something that our people should have been doing, not in the ancient world or the modern world. And, for these people that say, well, it's in the Bible, well, what version of the Bible are you reading where you're getting these, the subject of polygamy, where it talks about some of our brothers that had many wives? Remember, that is an English translation that you are reading that from. I challenge you to restore it to the original language, and I think you'll get a very, very different translation, when you restore it. Okay? Because again, who wrote that? Who gave you that translation? It was not our people who gave you that version. So when you say it's from the Bible, be very careful. What version of the Bible are you reading? Are you reading the English version? Well, no, that would not have been written from our people because we didn't write and we didn't talk in English. Okay? It wasn't our language. That's the language of the people who invaded our lands. All right? They gave you that contrived version of it because that's what they wanted you to believe. So where does polygamy actually originate from? Well, in order to comprehend where it originates from, you really have to go back to the more Enochian writings by our brother Karnak that refer to as Enoch in the book of Enoch. And he documented the history of polygamy through the Watchers. And that's really where it dates back from. That they actually, when they came here to observe and report back, they became rather attracted to human females and thought it was a good idea to mate with them and take as many of them as they wanted as wives. And they took more than one because there were probably so many beautiful human females that they wanted more than one. And their husbands, of the human females were really, at that time, they were rendered kind of helpless because of the alien technology, the knowledge that the Watchers had. They were able to easily enchant these females. Yeah, it became a very serious problem. So yeah, so that's really where the whole thing derives from, brothers and sisters, that history. And it had nothing really to do with our people. Now, if you need further clarification of all of this, all we have to do is let's look at the word. And this is another reason why I wanted to do this video and share it, because I didn't have a chance to mention that in the email that I responded to the sister that asked the question. I did not add this, so I thought it'd be interesting to cover that in this video here. So if we look at the word polygamy here, so it tells us that it is from the 16th century here, from late Latin polygamia, from late Greek, from polygamous, from the word polis, that means many, and then it says not etymologically restricted to marriage of one man and multiple women, technically polygyny, but often used as if it were related, these two words. They use the two words interchangeably, in other words. So let's get some more information on this. So if we look at the word polygamy itself, all you have to do is just look at the root of the word, brothers and sisters, in a nutshell. And that word, the root of that word polygamy, is just a word play for the word Malak, as in Malakim, as in, yes, you guessed it, angels. Now, if you need further proof of that, when I say wordplay, I'm referring to, they like to play word Scrabble, the people that came up with this English language here, are essentially the people that invaded our lands. So, when I say wordplay, obviously, however you want to call it, anagram, word Scrabble, that's what it is. But nevertheless, that is the word that you have here. And to further elaborate on this, all you have to do is look at the word polygyny. It's just a play on the same word, brothers and sisters. If we take the suffix of this word, gyni, right? All we need is a suffix, right? Remember, our language is a consonant language, so you get the word in the suffix jinn. And I don't know if you know a little Arabic, but in Arabic, they also refer to jinns as what? Angels. So, as in genie. So need I say more? All right, you're dealing with the same word. And I hope I brought some clarification there. And then the other thing, if you really think about this, there is a group that continues to of foreigners, whites, who continue to practice polygamy to this very day in our land known as Utah. We refer to, Judah, that they like to call Utah. And who are those people? Those people would be the Mormons. They even stole our name, as in Moors. But at any rate, I mean, that what's so interesting is they continue, they practice polygamy over there big time. And you have to understand, all they're doing is, I mean, and what's so strange about the whole Mormonism, that whole thing is that, they claim that they actually really believe in their delusion that they are one of the or part of the 10 lost tribes. Well, one thing that they are right about, brothers and sisters, is that yes, they are lost, but just not part of the 10 tribes of, Yasharala. Our people, refer to as, the land of, well, that we know today in the modern sense is Israel. Or, I like to refer to as Yashar. But no, they are not part of those 10 tribes. They're not part of, they're certainly not, Hebrew. So at any rate, but this is just one of the many delusions that they have. But the other thing is, when you really think about it, is why do they continue to practice it? Is really they know that it's all a facade, that they're just following, after all, they're just following the ways of their ancestors, the fallen angels. And that's why. So, it really isn't hard to tell, you really don't have to look much deeper into it than that. So what is important for us to comprehend, brothers and sisters, is what did our Creator tell us? Do not follow the way of the foreigners, the Gentiles. And this is also where you get the word Gentile from, by the way, as in polygyny, jinn for angels, as in Gentiles. We're not supposed to be following the ways of the fallen ones. All right? We're supposed to be following the ways of our Creator. So if you caught up in that, yeah, you might want to, get away from that as far as you can, and that's just, I'm just reaching out to my Akotis out there, the Akotum that might be caught up in that mess. So at any rate, thanks so much, brothers and sisters, for watching. And yeah, I have another video that I'm working on that I'm hoping to crank maybe in the next couple of weeks. It's probably going to be a much longer video, a two-part video. It's going to go, it's going to delve much deeper into the history, brothers and sisters, that I touched on in this video. But I hope you enjoyed this one. So once again, brothers and sisters, thanks so much for tuning in, and may the Most High continue to awaken the Shemitic mind within. Shalom.